Land of medieval castles, land of fairy tale villages, land of art and cuisine. The fragrance of freshly baked baguettes spreads through the streets. Atlantic waves caress wild coastlines, and Burgundy vineyards fade into the horizon. Welcome to France. Welcome to the heart of Europe. Known as l'Hexagone for its characteristic geometric hexagonal shape, this is a land where medieval castles watch over lush valleys, where villages dot the countryside, and where the most refined culinary art has found its chosen homeland. But let's start from the beginning. France is the third largest country in Europe, covering about 210,000 square miles, or 544,000 square kilometers. Within this vast territory lies an extraordinary variety of landscapes. Here, nature seems to have painted with every color: the intense blue of the Mediterranean, the emerald green of Normandy, and the pristine white of the Alps. More than 65 million people live in a land blessed with 3,400 miles, or 5,500 kilometers of coastline, touched by 3 different seas. The Atlantic Ocean crashes along the western shores, the English Channel separates France from England in the north, and the Mediterranean Sea gently caresses the southern coasts with its salty breeze. But this European giant also holds a surprising record. France is the nation with the most time zones in the world. Thanks to its overseas territories scattered across the planet, such as French Guiana and French Polynesia, the country spans 12 different time zones, more than any other nation on Earth. As you travel across its regions, the landscape reveals an incredible historical richness. More than 40,000 castles and ruins are scattered across the territory, tangible reminders of the grandeur of France's feudal and royal past. These monuments tell stories of centuries of conquests, courtly splendor, and revolutions that helped shape the course of Europe. In the rolling hills of Burgundy and the gentle valleys of Bordeaux, the French land reveals one of its most treasured gifts: its vineyards. These regions have become world-famous institutions for the production of exceptional wines. Yet France nourishes more than just its vineyards. Every day, from its boulangeries, the beloved neighborhood bakeries, about 27 million baguettes emerge, totaling nearly 10 billion each year. Each baguette is considered a work of culinary craftsmanship and must follow strict standards of ingredients and preparation, preserving a tradition that is deeply woven into French identity. French excellence is also visible on the roads. Since 1903, the Tour de France has celebrated human endurance across the country's most spectacular landscapes. This legendary cycling race, honestly one of the most prestigious sporting events in the world, transforms the nation every July as athletes from across the globe compete across mountains, valleys, and historic cities. France also stands out globally in 2 major areas: transportation and gastronomy. In the 1980s, the country revolutionized modern travel with the introduction of the TGV, its high-speed train network. These trains connect major cities while traveling at speeds of about 200 miles per hour, or 320 kilometers per hour, redefining efficiency and comfort in rail transportation. From a culinary perspective, France is the birthplace of the Michelin Guide, which is the most prestigious restaurant rating system in the world. This guide has become the global standard for evaluating culinary excellence. From Saint-Tropez to Menton, a coastline stretches along the Mediterranean that has earned worldwide fame for its breathtaking beauty and luxury lifestyle. The cobalt blue sea meets golden beaches, while elegant towns line the coast one after another. Nearby, Monaco dazzles visitors with its luxurious casino. Once a year, its city streets transform into the track for the Formula One Grand Prix, creating one of the most exclusive sporting spectacles in the world. The festival attracts international stars who walk the red carpet, while luxury boutiques in the surrounding streets display creations from the most renowned designers. Nice, finally, shows another face of the Riviera with its lively waterfront, where locals and tourists mingle freely. There is also the famous flower market, which adds color and fragrance to the city. High cuisine restaurants complete the experience along the entire coast, offering dishes that combine Mediterranean tradition with culinary innovation, perfectly expressing a lifestyle that has made this region a symbol of elegance. Paris. Strolling through Paris is like leafing through the pages of a history book. Every neighborhood tells something unique. The Seine flows through the heart of the city, dividing it into the Rive Gauche and the Rive Droite. That's the left bank and the right bank. The first is known as the Bohemian side, with cafes traditionally frequented by artists and intellectuals, while the other hosts famous museums and grand boulevards. But you know, history alone does not define this city. Historic buildings coexist with modern squares, lively markets, and urban gardens that create a relaxed atmosphere. From the elegant shop windows along the Champs-Élysées to the narrow and welcoming streets of the Marais, every corner hides something worth discovering. You can enjoy a sunset on the steps of Montmartre or stroll along the Seine as the lights of the Eiffel Tower reflect on the water. Alsace. Situated on the border with Germany, Alsace has a soul divided between two cultures. Its villages seem to come from another era, with pastel-colored houses featuring exposed wooden beams, canals crossing historic centers, and flowers decorating balconies and windows. Colmar is a perfect example. Its medieval quarters remain beautifully preserved and, during the Christmas season, transform into a true fairy tale. This region is also a land of exceptional wines, with orderly vineyards stretching across hills and gentle slopes. The famous wine route connects villages such as Rickeveer and Eguisheim, essential stops for discovering historic wine cellars and tasting local specialties. Storks can often be seen nesting on church roofs or in house chimneys, adding poetry to a landscape that changes with the seasons, yet always remains welcoming and authentic. Loire Valley. A journey through the Loire Valley reveals a world of castles emerging from the morning mist. Their towers rise above the treetops, while Renaissance gardens stretch toward the horizon. The Loire River flows between these majestic fortresses, which have witnessed battles and love stories and have shaped the history of France. Medieval villages hide among the vineyards, and their paved streets lead to squares where time seems to stand still. Local markets turn these spaces into vibrant scenes of daily life, with the aroma of freshly baked bread blending with long-standing traditions. Chambord Castle dominates the landscape with its 426 rooms, defying architectural logic. Chenonceau reflects beautifully in the waters of the Cher River, while Amboise guards the secrets of Leonardo da Vinci, whose spirit still seems to linger in its corridors. Villandry, on the other hand, reveals gardens that are true works of art, featuring intricate geometric designs. Corsica, an island that guards mountains in the heart of the Mediterranean. Here, white beaches quickly give way to green forests and deep valleys. Wild nature dominates the landscape, interrupted only by small villages perched on the hills. The city of Bonifacio faces directly onto the sea, built dramatically on steep white cliffs. Not far away, ancient paths cross forests of pine and chestnut trees. The GR20, one of the most challenging hiking routes in Europe, connects the north and south of the island through rugged mountains. Corsica remains authentic and proud of its traditions, protective of its identity, and offers a perfect balance between adventure and Mediterranean tranquility. The sea surrounds this rocky islet, tightening and expanding with the rhythm of the tides. Mont Saint-Michel rises on the northern coast of France in Normandy. At its center stands a medieval abbey that dominates the entire bay, surrounded by ancient walls and narrow paved alleys. In the heart of the village, small shops and restaurants line the medieval streets. For centuries, this place has been both a pilgrimage destination and an impregnable fortress, surviving wars and sieges. Even today, crossing the bay during low tide is a unique experience. During the day, it almost feels like walking on water, while at night, when the abbey lights illuminate the surroundings, everything reflects on the wet sands, creating an almost surreal atmosphere. Imagine walking through endless fields of lavender that color the landscape purple. This is the magic of Provence, where every corner seems painted by an artist. Hidden among the lavender stands the ancient abbey of Senanca, where monks still maintain traditions that date back 8 centuries. Climbing the hills, you will find Le Beau de Provence, a village perched on rock that seems to have emerged from a medieval fairy tale. Its old castle easily brings to mind stories of knights. In this region, one should not miss visiting Roussillon, a unique town where everything appears red. Houses, streets, and rocks are colored in different shades thanks to ochre, a mineral that makes this place truly special. Not far away, the village of Gorges climbs the hillside with narrow streets that spiral upward just as they were built centuries ago. The best time to visit these places is July, when the lavender is in full bloom and the wind carries the fragrances of the Provençal summer, giving every view a perfect light. Bordeaux is a city that lives around wine, with a trading history dating back to Roman times. The streets of its historic center, recognized as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, display classical elegance with 18th century buildings and lively squares. The Cathedral of Saint-André dominates the skyline with its Gothic towers, crowning an atmosphere of elegance that permeates the entire historic district. The Garonne River divides the city and is crossed by historic bridges such as the Pont de Pierre. In the evening, the riverside comes alive with lights reflecting on the water, creating the perfect atmosphere for a walk or an outdoor dinner. Normandy is a mosaic of fertile countryside, windy coasts, and villages rich in history. The famous landing beaches recount decisive events of World War II, with museums and memorials dedicated to remembering them. Along the cliffs of Etretat, meanwhile, dramatic natural arches and white chalk formations rise above the sea, creating one of the most striking landscapes in France. Spectacular natural arches shaped by the wind dominate the landscape. Small ports like Honfleur maintain the maritime atmosphere of the past intact. In the interior, farms and orchards give life to cheeses like Camembert and to local cider, 2 authentic symbols of Norman gastronomy. Situated at the confluence of 2 rivers, the Rhône and the Saône, Lyon is a city that lives between past and present. The historic center, called Vieux-Lyon, preserves Renaissance alleys and secret courtyards hidden behind heavy wooden doors. Its squares and historic churches tell centuries of history, making it surely one of the most fascinating neighborhoods. The city is known as the gastronomic capital of France, with markets and restaurants that celebrate local flavors. The Basilica of Notre-Dame de Fourvière dominates the city from above, offering a complete panorama of the historic center and the rivers below. More modern is the Confluence District, which hosts futuristic architecture, museums, and cultural spaces. Strasbourg rises on the banks of the Ile River, where France and Germany have met and influenced each other for centuries. The heart of the city, called La Grande Ile, is surrounded by canals that flow slowly, crossed by small bridges made of stone and wood. The Gothic cathedral dominates the city and is visible from almost every point in the historic center. During the winter months, the famous Christmas market fills the streets with lights and decorations, attracting visitors from all over Europe. Neighborhoods like Petite France reveal the most romantic side of the city, with half-timbered houses facing directly onto the water. It is a place that tells the continuous meeting between tradition and modernity, culture and politics. Brittany is a region where the ocean dictates the rhythm of life. The jagged coasts host lighthouses that have guided navigators for centuries, while the tides transform the landscape twice a day. Fishing villages like Saint-Malo and Concarneau preserve historic fortifications that tell stories of battles and maritime commerce. In the interior, green countryside is dotted with prehistoric menhirs and ancient stone churches. Gastronomy is an integral part of the local identity, with salted butter, cider, and fresh seafood that can be found almost everywhere. This region is an interweaving of Celtic traditions, changing landscapes, and communities that still maintain a deep bond with the ocean and nature. Founded by the Greeks more than 2,600 years ago, Marseille is the oldest city in France. The Vieux-Port is still the vital center today, with fishing boats docking beside restaurants that serve the traditional fish soup. The city develops between hills and coves, facing the Mediterranean with beaches and wild inlets. The Basilica of Notre-Dame de la Garde dominates everything from above and is a recognizable symbol of the port. The Longchamp Palace, with its gardens and monumental fountains, celebrates the arrival of drinking water in the city during the 19th century. Marseille is also an access point to the Calanques Park, a protected area of limestone cliffs and transparent waters. The Dune of Pilat is the highest in Europe and is a true mountain of sand facing the Atlantic Ocean. With its 110 meters in height and more than 2 kilometers in length, or about 361 feet and 1.2 miles, it represents one of the most imposing natural spectacles of the French coast. Climbing to the top, the view stretches between the blue of the ocean on one side and the intense green of the land's forest on the other. During the summer months, visitors climb along the wooden staircase or walk barefoot through the sand to reach the summit. Meanwhile, the constant marine wind allows outdoor activities such as paragliding, hang gliding, and kite surfing. Every year, currents and tides slowly move the dune toward the interior, gradually modifying its dimensions and profile. In the surroundings of the Dune of Pilat, Aquitaine offers endless beaches beaten by surf, vineyards that produce renowned wines, and charming fishing villages. Atlantic waves arrive powerfully from Spain, creating perfect conditions for surfers from all over the world. In the interior, the vineyards of Bordeaux extend as far as the eye can see, producing some of the best French wines. There are also tranquil rivers, extensive forests, and small rural villages where life flows at a slow rhythm. It is a land where nature still dominates, maintaining a rare balance between the ocean, countryside, and woods. In southeastern France, the Verdon River has carved over millions of years one of the most spectacular canyons in Europe. Its turquoise waters flow between limestone rock walls up to 2,300 feet, or 700 meters, high. Panoramic trails like the Sentier Blanc Martel offer incredible views and allow visitors to discover an environment rich in wildlife. Sports lovers can practice kayaking, climbing, or paragliding, while those seeking tranquility can visit characteristic villages like Moustier-Sainte-Marie. The gorges are part of a protected natural park created to preserve a fragile and unique ecosystem. Auvergne is a mountainous region in the heart of France, famous for its wild and untouched nature. Volcanic landscapes, thick forests, and deep lakes shape its territory. The Puys chain, declared a UNESCO World Heritage Site, counts about 80 inactive volcanoes that can be visited along well-marked hiking routes. Small villages built in basalt stone with strong and robust architecture dot the countryside. In summer, sunflower fields color the plains at the foot of the volcanoes, creating a striking contrast with the dark volcanic rock. Thermal baths are also an integral part of local life, and the city of Vichy has been famous for its beneficial waters since Roman times. At the foot of Mont Blanc, Chamonix is a gateway to the Alps. The town is surrounded by snow-capped peaks and glaciers, including the Mer de Glace. Reachable by a cog railway that climbs the mountain, this destination is where the tradition of mountaineering was born, with expeditions dating back to the 1800s. Hikers and climbers fill the trails during the warm months, while skiers and snowboarders populate the snowy slopes in winter. The Aiguille du Midi cable car takes visitors up to almost 13,100 feet or 4,000 meters in height, offering a breathtaking 360-degree panorama of the French, Swiss, and Italian Alps. Built by the will of Louis XIV, the Palace of Versailles is one of the absolute symbols of the power of the French monarchy. The building, with its richly decorated halls, hosts the famous Hall of Mirrors, which has been the stage for treaties and ceremonies. Outside extend vast, geometric gardens, crossed by fountains and sculptures that were unthinkable for the era in which they were created. Versailles is not only a monument, but an entire complex of residences, stables, and woods designed to exalt royal power. Today, it is one of the most visited destinations in France, guarding a history that has shaped Europe. Among the French Alps lies a town facing a lake with crystal-clear water. Its canals resemble those of an alpine village crossed by streams. Ancient stone bridges connect the banks, while the historic center preserves houses in soft colors with flower-filled balconies. A medieval castle dominates the town from above, a reminder of the time of the Counts of Geneva. The lake invites visitors to stroll along its shores, or take boat trips to admire the mountains reflected in its waters, which are among the clearest in Europe. Surrounded by vineyards and gentle hills, this Alsatian town seems frozen in time. Its medieval walls, still intact, guard pastel-colored buildings and narrow stone streets. While strolling through the village, it is easy to notice floral decorations that change with the seasons, along with small wrought iron signs that testify to a deeply rooted artisan tradition. Every Christmas, Riquewihr transforms with markets and illuminations, becoming one of the most visited places in Alsace during winter. In Provence, on a rocky hill, rises a village of light stone houses that seem almost an extension of the rock itself. Here, time is marked by the sound of cicadas and the fragrances of lavender and rosemary. At the center of the town stands an ancient 16th-century castle, now home to art exhibitions. All around, views open onto the Luberon Valley, dotted with olive groves and vineyards. In summer, visitors linger in shaded squares among fountains and local shops, while stone streets wind between ancient houses with pastel-colored shutters. Perched on a cliff overlooking the Mediterranean, this Provençal village offers one of the most striking panoramas of the French Riviera. Its winding streets climb toward the remains of an ancient medieval castle, now transformed into an exotic garden filled with cacti and rare plants from around the world. Stone houses, small art galleries, and artisan workshops accompany the climb toward the highest point. Friedrich Nietzsche spent time here, and today the path that connects Eyes to the sea bears his name. Along this route, which descends steeply among pines and wildflowers, visitors encounter wonderful views of the sea. This Alsatian town resembles a living painting, with its colorful half-timbered houses, quiet canals, and small stone bridges. Strolling through the historic center, visitors find fountains, charming squares, and hidden courtyards that invite a slower pace. The Petite Venise district offers especially picturesque scenes, thanks to small boats that glide slowly along the canals between ancient houses. Every winter, the town squares come alive with traditional Christmas markets that are famous throughout Europe. Hidden among the hills of Aveyron, this small medieval village is an important stop along the Camino de Santiago. Its Romanesque abbey, dedicated to Sainte Foy, protects precious artistic treasures and relics that have been venerated by pilgrims since the Middle Ages. Narrow streets climb between golden-colored stone houses, revealing original architectural details and ancient wrought iron signs at every turn. At sunset, when the light gently touches the facades, the main square becomes a gathering place for visitors and locals in front of small traditional establishments. A fortified city dominating the valley of the Aude, Carcassonne is surrounded by double walls stretching over 1.9 miles, or 3 kilometers. Within these walls stand towers, drawbridges, and a perfectly preserved medieval village. During the Middle Ages, this city was a strategic stronghold contested by counts and kings. Today, visitors can walk along the walls and observe the surrounding countryside once defended with determination. Inside, paved streets lead to the Basilica of Saint-Nazaire and the Comtal Castle, the focal points of the ancient city. Eggishheim, just a few steps from Colmar, is this circular village that develops around a medieval castle, forming a concentric network of narrow stone alleys. Walking among the pastel-colored houses with sloping roofs, visitors notice charming details such as decorated windows, artisan signs, and ornate fountains. Eggishheim is also famous for the quality of its wine. Here, Pinot Gris and Riesling are mainly produced, often receiving international awards. The village is also the birthplace of Pope Leo IX, commemorated by a statue in the center of the main square. Eggishheim was elected the French people's favorite village, thanks to its authenticity and its intimate, welcoming atmosphere. Roussillon, imagine walking inside a palette of warm colors. Here, in the heart of Provence, red, yellow, and orange houses climb along hills that seem painted by the sun itself. The secret of this beauty lies in ochre, extracted for centuries from the surrounding quarries and used to dye every wall and every facade. The stone streets wind among reddish dwellings that change shade according to the light, creating a spectacle that renews itself every day. While walking through these ancient alleys, every corner offers a new perspective, with facades that tell the story of artisans who shaped the village with their own hands. It is a place where nature and architecture dance together, where the earth itself has become art, and where every step takes you deeper into this Provençal dream of impossible colors. Ivoire, medieval walls reflect on Lake Geneva. This small village has narrow streets paved with cobblestones and adorned with seasonal flowers. The historic heart, dating back to the 14th century, preserves towers, portals, and a castle that dominates the lake. It is famous above all for the Garden of the Five Senses, a botanical labyrinth where plants are carefully chosen to stimulate different sensory perceptions. The lakefront, meanwhile, invites relaxed walks, with small restaurants specializing in local fish freshly caught from the lake. From the walls that dominate the Rance Valley, the view just, embraces a panorama that has inspired artists for generations. This Breton village is really like a stone book, open to French medieval history. Half-timbered houses face streets that descend steeply toward the river port, creating wonderful perspectives at every turn. Here, natural light highlights the contrast between the gray of slate and the pastel colors of the facades, while the surrounding walls embrace the historic center like a protective shell. What makes this place so special is its authenticity. Medieval bastions recall battles and sieges, while artisan shops in the narrow streets keep ancient traditions alive. It honestly feels like taking a journey through time, where every step leads further back into history. This Breton village stands out for its well-preserved architecture and honestly, careful attention to detail. Granite and half-timbered houses alternate along the main streets, Artisans and artists work in local shops displaying crafted glass, ceramics, and regional products. The village is known above all for its spectacular Christmas illuminations, a tradition that attracts thousands of visitors every year. The presence of a 12th century castle, later rebuilt in Renaissance style, adds even more historical charm to the setting. On the Basque coast, facing the Atlantic Ocean, this town blends French elegance with the vibrant spirit of surfers. Wide beaches and powerful waves attract enthusiasts from all over Europe. In the 19th century, Napoleon III and Empress Eugénie chose it as their favorite holiday destination, leaving behind magnificent Art Nouveau villas that can still be seen along the waterfront today. The town center hosts refined boutiques, historic cafes, and the famous casino, a symbol of the city. A walkway leads to the Virgin's Rock, crowned by a statue of Mary, from where visitors can admire the entire coastline. Perched on the hills above Saint-Tropez, this Provençal village preserves the authentic soul of the French Riviera. Its spiral streets wind among pastel-colored houses and bougainvillea bursting with color, while the fragrance of lavender and rosemary accompanies every step. Here, time seems to have stopped in the era when Saracen pirates threatened these coasts. As a result, the village developed a maze of labyrinthine alleys, designed specifically to confuse invaders. From the central square, where the weekly market becomes a celebration of Provençal flavors, the view stretches to the sea, embracing vineyards and olive groves that cover the surrounding slopes. It is the perfect refuge where French aristocracy has long sought poetry and tranquility, and at the gates of the Pyrenees, where France meets Spain, stands the spiritual capital of the Camino de Santiago. This fortified Basque village has welcomed pilgrims from all over Europe for centuries, many stopping here before beginning the final stage toward Compostela. The pink sandstone walls enclose a labyrinth of medieval streets where languages from around the world resonate, while Vauban's bastions stand watch over the gray slate roofs. The main street of the historic center descends steeply toward the Nive River, lined with Basque half-timbered houses and shops serving pilgrims. From the citadel, the view stretches across the Basque mountains, where eagles and vultures glide above sheep pastures. Concluding this visual journey through France, we have traveled from the charm of its diverse landscapes to the most iconic symbols of its historic cities. Along the way, we discovered not only remarkable places, but also fascinating details that make every corner of this country unique. We hope the images and stories shared have enriched your knowledge and inspired the desire to personally explore the extraordinary beauty of this nation.